At 69 years old, Maureen McCormick has decided that the time for silence is over. For decades, fans of the beloved 1970s television era had whispered and wondered about the nature of her relationship with teen idol David Cassidy. Now, with the grace and candor that only age and hard-won wisdom can bring, she has chosen to speak, not for the sake of gossip or headlines, but to honor the truth of a connection that quietly shaped a significant chapter of her life. Maureen Denise McCormick was born on August 5, 1956, in Encino, California. She grew up in a middle-class household where her natural charisma and bright personality set her apart from an early age. It was clear from the very beginning that she was destined for the spotlight. By the time she reached her early teenage years, she had already begun appearing in commercials and small television roles, steadily building the foundation of what would become one of the most recognizable careers in American entertainment history. Her defining moment arrived when she was cast at just 12 years old as Marcia Brady, the eldest daughter in the fictional Brady family. The show, The Brady Bunch, debuted in 1969 and quickly became a cultural institution. It offered audiences wholesome, relatable humor and heartwarming storylines that resonated deeply during a period of tremendous social change in America. As Marcia, McCormick portrayed the quintessential all-American girl, beautiful, kind, popular, yet endearingly vulnerable. Her delivery of now iconic lines cemented her place in television history, and the warmth she brought to the role ensured that the show's legacy would outlast its original run by generations. When The Brady Bunch concluded its original run in 1974, it did not simply fade into television archives. It lived on through reruns, merchandise, stage adaptations, and an ever-growing fan base that spanned continents and generations. McCormick's portrayal of Marcia was so deeply embedded in popular culture that the character took on a life of her own, inspiring spin-offs and special projects well into the 1980s. In 1981, McCormick reprised her beloved role in The Brady Brides, a miniseries that followed Marcia and Jan as they navigated the adventures and responsibilities of newlywed life. That same year, the made-for-television movie The Brady Girls Get Married extended the franchise further, once again placing McCormick at the center of stories that audiences could not seem to get enough of. These projects demonstrated not only the enduring appeal of the original series but also how central Maureen McCormick was to the Brady legacy itself. However, when The Bradys premiered in 1990 as a modern reimagining of the franchise, McCormick found herself at a personal and professional crossroads. Having recently given birth to her daughter, she was unable to reprise her role as Marcia. Her absence was felt by fans and producers alike, underscoring the unique pressures that child stars face as they grow into adulthood, constantly pulled between professional opportunity and the realities of personal life. Yet even without her direct participation, her legacy as Marcia remained entirely intact, and reruns continued to introduce the character to brand new audiences around the world. To her credit, McCormick worked diligently throughout the 1970s and 1980s to step beyond the shadow of Marcia Brady and prove her range as a performer. She made memorable guest appearances on some of the era's most popular television programs, including Donnie and Marie, The Love Boat, Happy Days, Vegas, Fantasy Island, and The Streets of San Francisco. Each role offered her the chance to explore different genres, from lighthearted comedy to dramatic storytelling, and to demonstrate that her talent extended well beyond the carefully crafted confines of a family sitcom. She also expanded her work into feature films. In 1979, she appeared in A Vacation in Hell, a suspenseful, action-driven narrative that showcased a grittier side of her abilities. That same year, Skate Town USA tapped into the era's vibrant roller skating craze and youth culture, further cementing her relevance in the pop culture landscape. In 1980, she took on a supporting role in The Idol Maker, a compelling drama that explored the inner workings of the music industry. And in 1987, Return to Horror High allowed her to venture into darker, comedic horror territory, proving once and for all that her talents were not confined to sunny, lighthearted material. These varied roles reflected a performer who was determined to evolve, to challenge herself, and to be taken seriously as an actress on her own terms, not simply as the girl who once played Marcia Brady. Despite the professional achievements that followed her years on The Brady Bunch, McCormick's personal life was far more turbulent than her public image suggested. Like many child stars who are thrust into the glare of fame before they are fully formed, she struggled deeply once the cameras stopped rolling. After the show's cancellation in 1974, she slipped into a dangerous lifestyle fueled by cocaine and quaaludes, substances that were disturbingly accessible in Hollywood at the time. These addictions consumed her energy, distorted her self-image, and quietly derailed what should have been a flourishing adult career. She missed auditions, arrived to sets impaired, and watched opportunities slip away that might otherwise have elevated her career to new heights. Alongside her substance abuse, she battled depression and bulimia, both of which fed into a relentless cycle of self-destruction that left her increasingly isolated from the life she truly longed for. She had also navigated a stormy personal entanglement with her Brady Bunch co-star Barry Williams, who played Greg Brady. Their romance was passionate and complicated, weighted by youth, the pressures of sudden fame, and the undeniable awkwardness of their characters being siblings on screen. The intensity of those feelings lingered long after the show ended, influencing choices she made well into her early adult years. The turning point came on March 16, 1985, when McCormick married actor Michael Cummings. Their relationship provided her with something she had been desperately missing: stability, commitment, and a sense of genuine love. Cummings stood firmly by her side as she slowly began rebuilding her confidence and reclaiming her sense of self. In 1989, the couple welcomed their only child, a daughter named Natalie Michelle, and motherhood transformed McCormick in profound ways. It gave her both responsibility and purpose, motivating her to pursue a healthier and more balanced way of living. She entered therapy and rehabilitation programs and began the long, difficult process of confronting her inner demons. She was prescribed antidepressants, which helped stabilize her mental health and gave her a clearer foundation from which to heal. Throughout this challenging period, her Brady Bunch family remained a constant source of support. The cast, who had forged deep bonds during their years on set, continued to act as a surrogate family in her adult life, offering encouragement and understanding when she needed it most. Their enduring solidarity reminded her that she was not alone, and that the legacy of the Brady family carried within it a deeper message of resilience, forgiveness, and unconditional love. In her deeply personal memoir, Here's the Story, Surviving Marcia Brady and Finding My True Voice, McCormick laid bare the highs and lows of her life with unflinching honesty. The book offered readers an intimate and courageous account of survival, and her willingness to share her story inspired countless people who were quietly facing battles of their own. In more recent years, she has reintroduced herself to audiences through new ventures. She competed on Dancing with the Stars, demonstrating her grace, perseverance, and enduring charm. She appeared on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, and co-hosted Frozen in Time, a home renovation series that reflected her passion for creativity and design. Through each of these projects, she reinforced a simple truth: her talent and her appeal have not dimmed with the passing years. And then there is David Cassidy. For decades, speculation had quietly circulated among fans about whether McCormick and Cassidy had shared more than just a friendship during the dazzling, chaotic height of their fame. Both had been at the absolute epicenter of 1970s teen culture. Cassidy as Keith Partridge on The Partridge Family, America's ultimate heartthrob, and McCormick as the golden girl next door. Now, at 69, she has finally chosen to speak openly about what actually existed between them. They first crossed paths at publicity events in the early 1970s, when both were navigating the overwhelming pressures of superstardom. We were both living in this whirlwind of fame, she explained. Everywhere we went, there were crowds, screaming fans, and people who expected us to be perfect. It was intoxicating, but it was also incredibly isolating. In one another, they found a rare and comforting understanding. Two young people who instinctively grasped the weight the other was carrying, in ways that almost no one else around them could. McCormick acknowledged openly that her connection with Cassidy went deeper than casual acquaintance. Yes, David and I had a connection, she confirmed. It wasn't a long romance, but it was very real in that moment. He made me laugh. He made me feel seen. And he was someone I could trust when the cameras weren't rolling. Her words, measured and tender, painted the picture of a bond that was fleeting yet meaningful, the kind that leaves a quiet but permanent mark. She also explained why it had been kept so carefully private for so long. The entertainment industry of that era demanded a particular kind of image from its young stars: polished, untouchable, and idealized. Any hint of a real romantic connection between two teen idols risked shattering the carefully constructed fantasies that studios and fan magazines had built around them. Back then, the studios wanted us to look squeaky clean, almost untouchable, she said. They didn't want their teen idols having normal relationships. They wanted fantasy. Both she and Cassidy understood this reality and chose, out of both professional necessity and mutual respect, to protect what they had shared. Reflecting on Cassidy's later years, his struggles with alcoholism, his declining health, and his passing in November 2017, McCormick's voice carried unmistakable sadness. I wish I could have been there more for him, she said quietly. David had such a beautiful soul, but fame is brutal. It lifts you up so high and then it can just crush you. I knew what that felt like because I went through my own struggles with addiction and depression. In a way, we mirrored each other's pain. She was careful to frame her revelation not as tabloid confession, but as an act of remembrance and respect. It wasn't about tabloid romance or headlines, she insisted. It was about two kids who found each other in a crazy, dizzying world and shared a spark that was honest and kind. She wanted fans to see Cassidy not simply as the beautiful face on a million bedroom posters, but as a complex, sensitive, and deeply human individual. David was so much more than the posters on the bedroom walls, she said. He was funny, generous, and he carried a lot more weight on his shoulders than people ever knew. At 69, Maureen McCormick stands as something far more significant than a childhood television star. She is a woman who has faced addiction, heartbreak, self-doubt, and loss, and who has emerged from each of those trials with her integrity and her humanity fully intact. Her willingness to speak openly, whether in her memoir, her interviews, or her quiet tribute to David Cassidy, reflects the hard-earned confidence of someone who has made peace with every chapter of her story. The truth is simple, she concluded. David Cassidy was special to me, and that's something I'll cherish forever. For fans who grew up with both of them, those words offered something rare and genuinely moving, not a scandal but a grace note. A long overdue acknowledgement that behind the posters, the studio lights, and the perfectly managed public personas, two young people once found each other, shared something real, and were quietly grateful for it.